Good afternoon and welcome to Talk Sports. It's our Saturday sports special. A warm welcome to one and all. And as indicated, our special guest on this weekend's program is in terms of personality, I should say. Is first of all, is not anyone new to the program. And it has been probably 4 years now. I think it's 2021 when I went back. We last had Ato Boldon on our program. But he is on our program this week. We'll have a vivid conversation with Mr. Boldon. And as you have been listening and reading over the past week, especially in the post-World Championship era, you have been hearing a lot from Ato regarding his assessment of particularly his native Trinidad and Tobago and, his own assessment of the performances, I should say, rather. And as you know, Trinidad and Tobago, once upon a time, even after the Ato Boldon era, they were always featured in the relay events, both men and women, and Ato really had some concerns, and when we look at it, it is, right? However, what was striking and what specifically attracted me in terms of asking Ato to be on the program is that there was a program on CBC Television, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and where they asked Ato his prediction, and they call it bold predictions for the World Championship sports. And you can go back on YouTube. It's there. You can listen to it. And just about every prediction from Ato Boldon was basically correct, including the relays, right? And why I say that? Because somehow Ato says that Jamaica just does not deliver when it matters. And so said so, right? Okay, we'll have a long conversation with Mr. Ato Boldon. Good afternoon to you, Edwin Sam in New Jersey, Gordon Julian, and our co-host is coming in from Toronto, that's Rudian Silva. Let me welcome Ato Boldon to our program, and a good afternoon to you, Ato. A warm welcome. I think you may be in South Florida, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere, right? Good afternoon to you, Ato. Oh, I think you're muted. Let me see if I can get you there now. Yes, you're there. Good afternoon, Ato.
Yes, good afternoon to you and your audience. If I see my little a little tongue tied, it's because I'm still on Tokyo time. I've only been back about 48 hours because I stayed a little longer.
Okay, right. So even when you accepted the invitation, you probably were traveling, right? It could have been.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Thank you very much, Ato. First of all, let's look at, we'll go into more details about specifically Trinidad and et cetera. But let's look at the Caribbean and its performances at the World Championships in Tokyo. What's your assessment overall of the Caribbean's performance?
So the Caribbean did very well. Jamaica rebounded from what could have been seen as a subpar by Jamaican standards in terms of Paris last year. Trinidad and Tobago took 4 people and brought home 2 medals, a gold and a silver. Grenada in the javelin final were very competitive. Barbados did not have they didn't bring home medals, but Barbados still had some good representation. Tia Lafond was able to be on the podium again. So no, the Caribbean I thought did very, very well, all things considered. If anything, the Caribbean had a slight uptick from how they did last year in Paris.
And in terms of individual performances, let's stick on the Caribbean. Which performance would you single out as probably the most dynamic of all?
With all deference to and due respect to Keyshawn Walcott, who is getting his first world title 13 years after winning his Olympic title in 2012. I think the performance from the Caribbean was Oblique Seville. Those of us who know and love Oblique, and I mean, like myself, I had said after the last 3 years, I said, I mean, you saw the prediction show. I said my one of my picks for the 100 is somebody who I said I would never, ever, 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 ever pick again to win a race, and it's because he's had his struggles in the last 3 seasons. To go from last in the Olympics to first in the World Championships 13 months after, he gets my pick because what he had to overcome, because Sean's already a champion, an Olympic champion, an Olympic bronze medalist. But Oblique has never won anything, certainly not individually. So to see him kind of shake off the Noah Lyles taunt and, all the pressure that he had to be feeling from back home and people saying, will he deliver, will he deliver? Well, delivered. So to me, the performance of the games in terms of a Caribbean athlete, Oblique Seville.
Right. And in addition to that, you said in the 200 meters, the dark horse was Brian Lavelle. Why you? Because I think you caught the host sort of off guard with that one. But why you went with Brian? But I mean, and he was the dark horse, and he got the silver. The bronze medal. Why you thought Brian was the dark horse in that?
Listen, because I understand my relationship with fans. Maybe the last 7 to 10 things that I have said, people go, what is Ato talking about? Only to see it happen. And they go, well, I didn't like when you said that. And I understand that. But the reason that I say, if you see me say something, is not because it's on a whim. While everybody else is doing their thing, I am watching that film. And I am studying trends. I am studying patterns. I'm going back and seeing what this athlete does under pressure, what this athlete does in the beginning of the season, in the middle of the season, late. The thing about Lavelle is nobody looked better through the rounds until Noah Lyles ran that 1951 in the semifinal. So to me, I looked at that and I said, I wish I'd been brave enough to say it. I hinted that if you go on YouTube to the NBC actual call of the race, what I said before they got into the blocks was, let's see if Lavelle can break up one of the so-called big three. Tobago, Lyles, or Benaric. But what I wish I was brave enough to say, the Olympic champion is the one who looks like he could be left off the podium. So the reason why I was confident in Lavelle is because, first of all, that's my event. I have a world title in that event. 2 people were not beating, no, everybody knew that. And to me, Benaric, yeah, he looked good, and I thought Lavelle could get him too. And I said openly before the race, Lavelle is Lyle's biggest challenger. And listen, people send stuff to me and they go, how could you possibly have said that? That's what they thought before the race. It's like, yeah, well, I studied a little bit more than you, and I know a little bit more than you especially about this particular event. So I had no problems picking Lavelle. It's not like he was that much of a dark horse. He came into the meet with one of the fastest times in the world in the 100, and I had seen how good he was running in the rounds, his turns, how he was backing off and still running fast time. So that's not rocket science to predict that somebody like that is going to upset somebody in our finals. Like me saying, but before the 4x4 men go off, Botswana is actually the favorite here, not the USA. And people go, what is he talking about? The USA is always the favorite. It's because I actually understand what I'm looking at.
Yeah. While you're that, Ato, the relay, yes, the 4x1, the men's 4x1 in particular. Why? I mean, it appears to be a jinx, but why you thought that? And I think you brought the argument that you have not seen Jamaica compete as a relay unit. So that's why you said, no, I'm not going with Jamaica. But give us your assessment in terms of that.
This is another one of those picks where when I make a pick like that, people go, look at this Trini picking against the Jamaica, not realizing that when I broadcast, as well as when I pick, I don't pick with my region or my passport or anything. The evidence is when I try when I make a pick to show my work, to show the receipts, as the kids say. And I said then when asked, I said, yes, Jamaica has lots of great individual legs. And as it turns out, they had the second place finisher in the 100 and the first place finisher in the 100. And as you so correctly remembered, what I said was, let me see Jamaica get that baton around as a unit. But that was my fear. Sure enough, Jamaica comes out and drops the baton. Now, if Jamaica gets to stick around, or if Jamaica medals, or if Jamaica wins, you can very well come back at me and say, hey, you said Jamaica was going to lose and they ended up winning. You don't know what you're talking about. And that's the world I have to live in. But the reason I was saying it up front is because I know which team is likely to do what. And it's not like Jamaica had a great run of it in Paris last year with a very similar team. So this is where me studying and understanding my events and my sports helped me to be an informed broadcaster.
I want to thank you for that. Rudian, good afternoon to you from Toronto. And that is where Ato actually laid those predictions at CBC in Toronto, and he got them 100%. The predictions were bang on target. And as I said, folks, you can just type in Ato Boldon prediction CBC. You'll get that YouTube link. In fact, I was looking at it just before the program, and he was just saying, and that was actually, I think it was in July, if I'm not mistaken, because
this was right. Yeah, this was about 2 months out. And I mean, and some of the things that I was saying, I actually was surprised at some of the blowback. I said, Sha'Carri Richardson has nothing she has no medal to get this year if she does not fix that start. Well, the Sha'Carri stance came for me in all kind of ways. She's gonna show you. She's gonna show you. One of the things that I did not say then, because I knew it was gonna create a firestorm, is I said, listen, in what I have been seeing, Sharika Jackson has lost a step. And Jamaicans didn't want to hear that, but she's lost a step. And fast forward now to Tokyo, and you realize that, she lost to somebody who ran 22-1. She would have been the silver medalist, but she couldn't summon a 22-1 right at that point. Listen, I don't like when people say anything bad about my 49ers. So I understand that sometimes it's like, you're not mad because I said it, you're mad because I might be right. That's how I feel about my 49ers. I'm not really vexed because you said it. If you say, Bosa is injured, that might be a season. I'm not upset because you said it. I'm upset that you might be right. That's the world that I live in.
Hey, Ato, please be careful. I'm a Cowboy, so please.
You got bigger problems.
I got more problems, that I can deal with. But certainly, it's always a pleasure seeing you and having you on. And I think we need to check Ato account because he's right on target. So we need to know what betting take place that we don't know about. But Ato, I'm going on a bigger picture. In the past few years, we have seen the Caribbean region is doing very well. Not only Jamaica, we've seen medals coming from islands that is 100,000, that 120,000, 150,000. Certainly, now we see back again Jamaica. Trinidad is back on the podium on top. It's been a while. It's been a few years. What do you see as the positive and the negative from some of the federations, or what do you think they should do to at least uplift or do more? Because I think there's lots more to be done. But what do you see that can be done?
Well, I will go from the example that we have in Trinidad and Tobago. One of the things that I made sure to do when Kishon and Jareem won their gold and silver medals respectively is I came out publicly and I said, I think Kishon has actually gone ahead of Hazley and I and whoever you think is in that order in terms of our Olympic at the top. We know I have more medals than everybody combined, and that's fine. But in terms of ultimate, Kishon now has Olympic gold and world's gold. None of us have that. He also has an Olympic bronze. So I said, he's probably at the top of the heap now. And I said, I thought Jareem Richards has gotten more out of his athletic ability than maybe any other athlete that I have seen in Trinidad and Tobago history. And that was like kind of, whoa, okay. But the reason why I said that is because I wanted to make sure that I had properly praised those gentlemen before sort of gently reminding everybody, listen, we have this way, and a lot of other Caribbean islands do it too. I can't speak for them, I can only speak for us. Not because somebody has brought home a medal, or 2 medals, or 2 gold medals, or 3 gold medals, does it mean that your system and your machine is where it's supposed to be? And we fall for that all the time. We did it during my career, acting as though Ato was going to run forever. When the relays were doing well, we acted as though that was going to last forever. And now we look around, you go, okay, yes, Kishon and Jareem won these medals. You know, it's the last time Trinidad and Tobago saw a podium in the World Championships? 2017. That is 8 years ago. That is not the sign of a sport that's thriving. You know when our last medal was? 2016, when we got one Kishon's bronze on the very last day. So what I wanted to make sure I did is, let's not make the celebration and the joy of winning a medal or 2 or 3 detract from the fact that we have some serious problems. You are not as a country supposed to be going 7 and 8 years in between World Championship medals. Oh, by the way, our longest drought since we won our first one in 1995. And we sure as heck are not supposed to be heading back towards the 20 years in between Hazley's gold in 76 and my medals in 1996. That's 20 years of nothing. So I have to always remind people that your sport is not doing well necessarily if you win a medal or 2. Your sport is doing well when you can look at your juniors, your seniors, and all in between and say, look the past, look the present, and look the future. Because that anything failing, that you're fooling yourself. And we got away with that for years. Oh, we win a medal. Oh, we win a medal. Oh, we win a medal. Until all of a sudden we weren't winning anymore. So there's always a lesson there of look at the entire picture as opposed to this one snapshot from this.
Certainly, because you see, and as rightly as you put it, because we see it with Jamaica, on the world stage, we start seeing them not getting at the podium in the past years, and as we would like to after the boat era. But the junior athletes was doing very well, so they only focus on one group and not the other group, and thinking, well, something is wrong. So certainly, I think there is more. But like again, and you're surely right. You know, we celebrate. We see the same thing in St. Lucia. They get a medal. They're happy to celebrate. But then who is after that person? Who's the next person? See the same thing in Dominica. We also see the same thing in Grenada. It's not on the field aspect, but we see the same thing on the track. Who is after Kirani? Who is next? Who is the next person, or who is the bunch of the next athlete that's coming up that they can focus on and bring forward? Because I mean, Trinidad have a lot of athletes, and they are coming up. We see the Carifta Games, see the performance in the Carifta Games, but I don't see the transition to the next level. I'm not seeing that, so I don't know where that breakdown is. That transition to the next level. You made a comment concerning the NCAA I could be wrong in your quote, either they destroying the athletes or because they're running them a lot. Maybe I quoted it wrong, so forgive me. But something to that extent. So is it now athletes should stay home, or should they have a conversation when they go into college and say, my goal is to get here?
Listen, I am well aware of the history of the NCAA system. You can't talk about Caribbean athletics without talking about the NCAA system. Don, Quarry, Merlin, Ortiz, Hazley, Crawford, myself, Richard Thompson, we're all NCAA champions. So it's not to knock that system, but it is to also be aware of what a lot of people figured out and Jamaica did something about, and that is you cannot send 100% of your athletes to the NCAA system and expect that you're going to get back 100%. I think Jamaica said they were getting back something like 10 or 15% who were ready for the next level, and that's why they did something about it. Now, Trinidad and Tobago has a problem in that the club system, which was producing a J. Hugh Gordon or Darrell Brown, they're not producing at that level anymore. They blame the federation blames them. So they're stuck in this kind of
back and forth.
Nobody wants to take blame for it purgatory. The truth is that I look at the islands that dominate Trinidad and Tobago in the Carifta Games of late. If you look back at, say the last 20 years, both of them have one thing in common: a very strong high school system, right? Jamaica obviously has the most cherished and most powerful one, And then the Bahamas kind of looked at what Jamaica was doing and said, yeah, we're not really studying our clubs as much anymore. We are going to go to our high school system and look at the results. Bahamas, for having a third of our population, Bahamas, they almost perennially spank us at Carifta. They don't even look at, they're looking forward at Jamaica. They're not looking back at Trinidad and Tobago. So when I was making the argument 10 years ago about we have to start to look a lot more like Jamaica than the Bahamas, people would dismiss it. They say, oh, Jamaica has so much more people and so much more of a population than us. What's the excuse with the Bahamas then? So there are some plans in place now in TNT to get more of a focus on the high school system. Let's bring it. And there is a high school system now, but it's one of those where it's like the high school championships is on a Wednesday. The stadium is empty. Parents have to go to work. I'm like, how are you going to have a high school championships in the middle of the week? So there is some new thinking to get a lot more serious about our high school program. I think that is the way forward for TNT.
Yeah, certainly. I agree with that. I agree with that statement because, like I said, that is the goal. And also, I mean, another thing too. We grew up in the system where, I mean, I grew up in Canada, even though I went to the Olympics for Grenada. Where you see the club system here is big. It's not the greatest that it used to be, but they have their filters where they need to work on. But after the Carifta Games in the Caribbean, just in the Caribbean itself, there's not much. There's not much for the athletes. And I know we talk about, we talked to Mike Stans, we said, can the games move to a later time in the year? It's kind of challenging, for that. But there's nothing else. What do you think that the Caribbean Federation together can do, and if it's on a junior level, to do something for those athletes?
Listen, I think that there are enough gaps right now. You have the Pan Am Juniors is growing from strength to strength. You have, I mean, the meets that I went to, CAC Juniors, Pan Am Juniors, those kinds of things. You have to listen. It requires some work. The problem is that a lot of these federations just want to kind of plug and play, and it doesn't work that way. It takes effort. It takes planning. It takes some smart people sitting down in a room with other people who are smarter than them, who maybe are not track and field people or not even sports people, and saying, here's some of the data that we've acquired from the last 10 or 15 years. We need work in A, B, C, D, E, and let's do it. I remember distinctly at the height of Bolt and Blake when Jamaica was dominating everything, but even when Warren Weir showed up and he was sweeping the Olympics in the 200, and the Jamaicans were telling me, yeah, but we put in our focus on the field events because we feel like we could be doing better in the field events. Fast forward to Paris 2024, the Jamaicans did better in the field than they did on the track. We could have foreseen that 15, 20 years ago. But Jamaica always has, and I always say no federation is perfect and everybody seems to hate the federation. A lot of them are right. But in Jamaica, I saw them make a switch to, look, let's try and plant some other crops and look at what it has done for them. Jamaica's field eventers are so good now, they're being drafted by other countries like Turkey and compete with them. So it's not to be a gift.
I thought so, for some reason, you, as you say, you made the news for the wrong reason. But let's put it like that. It says that there was a rebuke of the National Federation in Trinidad and Tobago, right? Partly because you had some strong words and some concerns and some advice as well, right? Regarding, and even I think there was a call for a national policy or whatever. Put in perspective, right? Yeah, put in perspective, Ato, what are your concerns and what are your advice to the National Federation?
I will try to do it as succinctly as I can. In 2001, I was an athlete on the team as well as the coach of the World Championship men's team that won the silver medal in 2001. That was our very first medal. That turned into all the success that the Trinidad and Tobago men had, including the gold medal in 08 and silvers and so on at Worlds and Olympics along the way. That was the golden era of Trinidad and Tobago relays. In 2015, I was entrusted to coach the women's 4x1 at the Beijing World Championships. That women's team won its first medal. They never won a medal before or since. So I don't have to explain my bona fides to Trinidad and Tobagonians who may not be aware of that fact. It's like, I'm not asking you if I am able to contribute because I have already contributed the first 2 medals ever in our 4x1 history, men and women. Now that we've settled that. The next point is, in 2015, I started to sound the alarm because I saw our diminishing results on the junior side. Oh, by the way, our last medal for TTO for Trinidad and Tobago in our World Juniors is 2016. So we almost looking at a 10-year drought on that side. Again, I was on the bow of the Titanic screaming the alarm, iceberg dead ahead. Why Ato don't mind his business? He looking for a walk. He always has something to say. I was like, okay. In between that time, 2015, 16, 17, and this year, we have won absolutely nothing, Worlds, Olympics, or World Under-20s. This year, the head of the entries, our federation, calls me up and asks me to help him, who I hold responsible in causing the problem, to help fix it. And I told him, hell no. I said, because as far as I'm concerned, you all broke it. You all broke it. You listened to nobody. Nobody knew as well as you all how to fix it. Why have you not fixed it? Now you want to call me to help you fix it? No, I don't know everything. Fix it. So the least I am saying that they can do is, let's get the relays back on track. I cover so many races and meets, and you see these countries that I know do not have the individual talent we have. So, okay, so we have individual talent. They don't have to be making finals and everything. Look at some of the other countries that made the World Championship finals, men and women, in that 4x1. We have the opportunity, but what it takes somebody to sit down, as I said, and plan and think and consult. We don't operate on that level. Let's do it exactly how we were doing it in 1970 and 1980 and 1990, because that used to work. Well, guess what? Sports has become more and more professional. So the less professional you are, the bigger the gap between you and the countries that actually do it the right way. And that's what I'm seeing. It breaks my heart as somebody who was at the genesis of the 4x1s, both on the men's side and the women's side. Imagine my country goes to the World Championships this year, that ended a couple of weeks ago. No 4x1 men or women, no 4x4 men or women. Yeah, that's supposed to bug me. So if it takes me embarrassing them or calling them out for them to do something, I am more than willing to do that, because what they are doing is failing on the job and telling you, well, what are we going to do? That's unacceptable.
Yeah, I think the late Dion Lendo probably is turning in his grave,
as he should be, because that was somebody else to whom the relays were near and dear to his heart. I understand.
Yeah. But it appears, Ato, that you still have Trinidad and Tobago dear to your heart, and you're willing to assist. It's not that you really, shutting the door on them. You're willing to assist, providing that they're willing to listen.
Listen, you don't have enough show for me to run you through all that I have tried to do quietly, not stuff for no papers, quietly. I went and got funding, literally got 6-figure funding just to hold relay camps. They didn't even have to this is after we had already got the bronze from the women in 2050, and the men were still doing okay. I went and got the money, and I always remember the woman calling me and saying, Ato, they're going to take back the money. The bank is going to take back the money. Why have they not come to accept this money? They haven't come to accept the money because it's Ato Boldon gets it, and I wasn't getting it for me. I wasn't paying myself. At one point when that women's team was still capable of being medalists, 3 of the women lived in Florida. And I said to them, oh gosh, just get them here. We can use my facility in Miramar, Florida. I have access to that how I need. Bring them here and we will get them ready for whatever games. No. We're going to do it. And it's not just that they rejected some of the things that I had proposed or that I had gotten done. It's that they then went off and didn't do anything themselves. So that women's team went from third in the world in 2015, fifth in the Olympics in 2016, completely irrelevant now, and now we don't even have so much as a team that is capable of being in the top 16 in the world. We sent nobody to world relays and sent no relay teams to the World Championship. So yeah, it is a matter of if you are going to scorn and it's not just me, other people have tried to reach them. If you are going to scorn advice and logic and all of that stuff, fine. Where are your results? You have none, and that's why in a week when they should probably be celebrating, they're getting some really tough some tough questions are being asked in the press.
Let me use that opportunity as we reach halfway in the program, Ato, to congratulate you on I call it a milestone, the 2025 Sports Emmy Awards. That was held in New York City, here in New York, I think earlier this year. But interestingly, what I want to mention here is that you remain the only track and field commentator ever nominated in the category of Outstanding Sports Personality, Sports Event Analyst. And this year marked your second nomination after your first in 2013. And while you didn't win individually, you won as a team, right? Congratulations. But what that means to you, Ato, and to the Caribbean, I would say, because you're still Caribbean, you're still TNT, you're still half Jamaican, Caribbean, yes, what it means.
Listen, I am extremely proud of it. Thank you. I'm extremely proud of being able to bring that thing home. The truth is that when I got nominated 13 years ago, that was people's mouths were agape, because you have to understand that America, this is an American academy, the television academy, that you have to submit your work and they decide if you're good enough. And with me, I get 8-9 days every 4 years when America is paying attention to track and field. And my competition is the guys who call ice hockey and college football and college basketball and NFL.
Yeah. Right.
So they are on 6-7 months of the year, some of them. So it was an historic nomination 13 years ago, and I was shocked, and quite frankly, I walked away from the ceremony at which I was fortunate enough to present with the eventual winner, Chris Collinsworth, who is still on Sunday Night Football, of course. I remember thinking, why that, you know what? If all I can say in my life is I'm an Emmy nominee, that's good, because even that is not, I'm the first person, I believe, from the region, certainly from Trinidad and Tobago. There's still only 4 of us that have won Emmys of any kind. So I walked away from the ceremony feeling like, well, at least they know my name, and at least they know our sport now, because our sport has never gotten any recognition. And then the rules changed a little bit in favor of the broadcasters, and now, because we were adjudged to be the best TV show on TV for the year for sport, we all got one. So it's very satisfying for me, because the truth is that I was satisfied just being a nominee. So now to be a 2-time nominee and to have Emmy next to my name, and now just slowly but surely the oohs and ahs are trickling in from Trinidad. There's an article coming out in the Trinidad Express tomorrow about the whole thing with the Emmy and why an Emmy was so important to me. It's important to me because nobody from where I am from had done it, had ever won a sports Emmy. So those are the kind of things that, to me, make my life worthwhile. Being my country's first world champion, being my country's first under-20 world champion in 2 events, being my country's first sports Emmy nominee, being my country's first sports Emmy winner. That's the kind of stuff that's exciting to me. So I will take the trophy home when it arrives in a couple of days, and let others see what is possible from, even from a little fella like me who grew up in the back of Santa Cruz.
Yeah. Let me just add one more to all of that. Bang on with the predictions, Ato. You need to add that too. we need to find some. We need to find a bang on with the
You need to add it in
predictions.
there. You need to
Yeah,
add
we need
that
to
in
add
there.
that. Yeah, Rudy.
Well, I want an Oscar next, so we'll see.
Yeah. Over to you, Rudy.
Yeah, definitely. Ato, what's next for you? You still coaching? You still, you know?
But I wish I could break the news of who my next client is, but we have been sworn to secrecy. But I will say that it's a huge mega star that I am going to coach next. And I think it's going to bring a lot of wanted attention to our sport as we get ready for the next 3 years leading into LA 2020.
Yeah.
But yes,
Right.
I am still coaching. I
Certainly,
still
yeah.
have myself and Test Football, which is my I'm part of
Yeah.
that company based in New Jersey. I have almost 70 players actively playing in the NFL now. So yeah, I am very much. That's not the part that doesn't get written about quite as much or talked about in the Caribbean. I mean,
Certainly, yeah.
maybe because it's NFL football, but yeah, I have almost like 2 or 3 clients on every team.
Oh, interesting.
That's really good. It's really good.
What's your views about the enhanced games?
I wish they would go away, but in today's world, I think everything that we try to hold on to eventually gets corrupted. Look, I will fight for their right to exist, but I also know that I'm not attention to them, except that I think that somehow they are supposed to. People think they're going to become the X-Men. In other words, well, if these athletes on this side who are Olympians are supposedly clean, then if we take good athletes and allow them to take whatever they want to take with impunity, then we're gonna have the Flash and Storm and and all the other superheroes. I don't think that's how it's gonna work out for them at all. So I am kind of lazily casting an eye in their direction. The enhanced games is not going to be. It's not going to be the big draw that you think. And I was extremely disappointed to hear that Fred Curley was even aligning his brand with them, because it's like one of the things that we suffer from in our sport because of the Marion Jones and all the Balco athletes scandals of our past is credibility. And when somebody like Fred Curley kind of immediately jumps to that, I just feel like it's just unseemly. So I mean, I understand that Fred has some legal troubles, it looks like, coming up from some whereabouts violations, but I just feel like he's gonna regret this, because that's not a brand you want to identify your brand with.
Ato, do you think that track and field will get its rightful place in the annals of American sports? Of course, we cannot compare it to the American pastimes as baseball, the NFL, basketball.
Oh, please, we do way better. I'm glad you brought up baseball. Track and field kicks baseballs behind on television consistently. People do not watch baseball on television like you think. What baseball dominates us with is that because it is the so-called national pastime, you will get all the scores and the highlights, and it dominates ESPN, who, of course, because they are also a broadcaster, they have an incentive to push that sport in the same way that they do ice hockey. But no, continue your question, but I'm glad you brought up baseball, because you'll be surprised how many sports we do better than on television.
No, but I'm saying that in that we are seeing, like, for example, the World Championships in Tokyo. I saw some numbers came out a few days ago in terms of viewership, in terms of attendance, and it seemed as if it was record-breaking. It appears that track and field is once again getting that edge in terms of viewership. And when I say edge, in terms of a lot of people now tuning into, television, watching it, it's anticipating the build-up. After Bolt era, there was a sort of, hiatus for a while, but now we've seen a lot of, hype around the track and field. Do you think we're going back to that Bolt type era where it's almost track and field is a must-see event for many?
Well, one thing that will certainly help it in America is that we are now under 3 years to go until the Olympics. I was around for the 96 Olympics, and that did not exist in the social media era. I believe that we are getting ready for one very spectacular 2028 Olympics. And the hype is going to start early because of Noah and Sha'Carri and the rivalry with Jamaica. I think the hype is going to start now. Is track and field headed to the dizzying heights that it was in the 70s and 80s? I don't know. I think we have to evolve more as a sport. I would like to. I mean, I see us doing things, and I go, look, I am the voice on that Ultimate Championship promo for next year. But I'm not even sure I know what the Ultimate Championship is, and I'm not sure a lot of fans really do. And I'm like, okay, so it's gonna be the highest prize money ever given out by World Athletics. I'm like, oh my gosh, can we take that money, please, and put it in the Diamond League, which actually works? And this year, for the first time in a long time, NBC didn't broadcast Diamond League, so I just got to sit at home and be a fan. And I'm like, this is great, fantastic track and field for 2 hours. Can we put some more money into that? I mean, we know that Grand Slam has had their issues, but I just feel like the product can work if we tweak it and put some more money into it. Let's not worry about having to change too much. We are fine just how we are, and we know that because when people see our product at the highest level, they marvel at it. I was in the stadium in Budapest and saw those people enjoying themselves in a packed stadium, and it was hot. I was in Oregon in 2022 for Worlds. Amazing atmosphere. Paris last summer. Insane atmosphere. And you guys just saw Japan. You could not buy a ticket to get into the World Championships because those Japanese fans came out in full force. People love our sport, but they don't know where to find it. And then, oh, here's another drug scandal. And oh, how come Noah isn't running against Kishane until... So I feel like we have to evolve a little bit more, yes, and we definitely need to pay our athletes better. But we can use this, what is about to be a social media explosion of track and field because of the Olympics being here in under 36 months for something that could be really, really, really great. And we see that Athlos is coming with a league as well, so that should be interesting.
Okay, there's a question here for you, Ato. Chenny Joseph, will we see Ato in Grenada for the Carifta? Well, that's Carifta Games in 2026. And if yes, is he willing to host a Caribbean sports symposium and to offer some ideas to CARICOM sports ministers and coordinators of sports? Finally, what special message do you have for the various Olympic bodies within the Southern Caribbean?
Well, Trinidad hosted the last Carifta, but because of my relationship with the federation, I was not going to get an invitation to that. So I would have liked to come to Carifta in Trinidad this past year, but that was not going to happen. Listen, I have tried to do a lot of those things. I've done them in Guyana, I've done them in Trinidad, but the older I get, the less interested I am in leaving where I live, putting on a suit, flying somewhere, talking a bunch, and it goes into somebody's file, in some filing cabinet, and nothing gets done. So I have become a lot more selective in those types of things. When an entity contacts me, and I feel like there is some real good that will come out of it, those are the ones that I bite at now. But it's not like before, where it's like, yeah, Ato, we need you to come and talk about give us your thoughts on developing a championship 4x1. That kind of stuff, it's not appealing to me anymore.
Yeah. All right.
Ato, that's one question. We going back to the World Championships. Have you noticed we had one world record breaking? Is that something to be worried about, that the world records in them will stick around for some time?
No, as these records get better, they get harder to break. That's the problem. Ask Mondo, Ask a lot of people. Ask some of the female hurdlers. Look, world records are rare. And yes, the last couple of world championships, we've been spoiled. But remember what 2025 represents too. 2025 represents 5 seasons in a row that these kids have been going, these young people, right? 2021 Olympics, 22, 23 World Championships, Olympics last year. I think it's why you saw like Grant Holloway, for example. His body just said, I have had enough.
He's done.
I have literally not lost a race, a major since 2021, and I've had enough, and I don't care if you're upset about it. I'm out. I think it's another reason why you saw so many Olympic champions that couldn't sustain, right? I mean, Noah loses the 100, Paulino loses the 400. There's so many examples I could give you. So, no, I don't. I think that if we're being honest, we need a little break. And okay, we didn't have a ton of world records, but we had the second fastest ever women's 400, right? With Sydney, fastest time in almost 40 full years. The 4x4s were top 5 ever. The 4x1s, I think the men was like number 5 all time. So yeah, we still had some really good performances, and that's before we talk about some of those fabulous distance events that had championship records in them. So no, I don't. I mean, the men's 200, you could argue, is the greatest race overall ever. Look at the men's 8. Look at the women's 8 with all of those. I mean, if you didn't run 156 in Tokyo this year, you were literally going home. You didn't run under 156. So no, I tend to look at it from a little higher up. No. Yes, we only had one individual world record, but the overall standard, even though this is the end of 5 years of championships, was at a we saw tons of best place for times and championship records. So no, the standard was very high still, I thought.
And while you're on Sydney, do you think they will tweak it so that she can do the double, the 400 hurdles and the 400 flat?
I'm not even listening. I have been around Bobby Kersey since I was 2021. Nothing he does will surprise me. I am not sure that she is getting ready for a 400 hurdles double, because to me, Paulino is not going anywhere. And yes, she's Sydney, but you assume a lot to assume that Sydney can, even with time off and all of that she can go and beat Femke Bol and run. Let's say she has to run 50 point. Let's say it's not as fast as the world record. 50.6, 50.7. Okay, Femke is consistently 51 low now. And then she comes and has to deal with Paulino and Sawa Eid Nasser again with rounds in her legs. I'm not even sure that Sydney's getting ready for a 400 hurdle double. I think it may be 400 hurdles and something else, or maybe even a 400, 200 double like we saw Valerie Briscoe Hooks do in 1984. It's almost like she's just collecting rings like Thanos. It's like, let me purvey the valley and see what I want to conquer, and then I'll decide what I want to do. Do I think she's capable of in 3 years beating Melissa Jefferson Wooden and Julian Alfred and the likes of those? I don't know, but if you'd asked me when I touched down in Tokyo, is Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone gonna come here and run 47.7? I'd have said no. I would have said not that fast, and she did. So yes, 3 years.
I think she'll drop to the 200. I think they might try that. But at the same time, listen, like I said, I've been studying Bobby for a very long time. You've been around him. I'm just studying him. And he's a magician in terms of what he have done over the years with some athletes. Nothing will surprise me. She'll come out around the 100 meters. That wouldn't surprise me, because he wouldn't do it if she can't win it.
Right.
Ato, what's about Shelly Fraser Price. You think she deserves her flowers?
You see how y'all get me in trouble again? I started. Look, it's. I pride myself on being the first one once he crossed the line in 2012 who went on record. It is on YouTube. You can go and look at it. That all the debate about it end tonight in the London Olympic Stadium. Usain St. Leo Bolt is the greatest of all time. Other people didn't like that. But once I believe it, it's what I say. And years ago, I think maybe even as early as 2022, when she had won that fifth title, right, in Oregon, I said, you can make an argument as to who is the best sprinter of all time, because now you have to include Elaine. You can discuss, whoever you want to discuss, Merlene or whoever. But in terms of 100-meter sprinting, she is the best, and I'm not exactly sure who is second. Here's why that gets me in trouble. An American, or if you ask an American fan, who's the best 100-meter runner of all time? Who do they say? Flojo. Flojo was a friend of mine. She's also a UCLA Bruin. So when I get on American TV and say, there's no question Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is the best 100-meter sprinter of all time, people go, oh, really? So again, I am always in the middle of fan bases that they believe I should be for one or against the other.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, Shelly is one of only 3 women or 4 to have ever done back-to-back 100-meter titles. She has 5 world titles in the 100. Nobody has that. Not even Bolt has 5 100-meter titles. Mm-hmm. And then you look at her record of consistency. Okay, so she didn't win. What are her other medals? Oh, well, she medaled in 4 straight Olympic Games, right? 08, 16, and 3 straight. 08, 16, and 21. You look at her even in her world championships. Oh, she didn't win, yeah, but she has a bunch of silvers and bronzes.
Yeah.
It's not. That's, if you have in that debate, I will take the Shelly-Ann side every single time. And I love Flojo as a friend and as an athlete. But Flojo had 1 year. 1988 was a spectacular year. I'm not even going into the whole was the time when they did. Let's just accept what the record says. But that was 1 year. What Shelly-Ann has done starting in Osaka 07 and ending in Tokyo in 2025, that is the standard by which all 100-meter careers, men or women, should be measured.
I agree.
Do you think Elaine will make a comeback?
I've already given my opinion on this. I have already said I think Elaine is done as a threat. That did not go over well in Trinidad. It did not go over well in Jamaica. Because it is seen as me insulting the queen. And it's like, no, Elaine actually, I think, can make a case for best overall sprinter ever. She's done what nobody has done. 100, 200, back-to-back Olympics. Nobody has done that. But maybe as a result of that, her odometer is a little higher than everybody else's. And when you see feet and Achilles and those sorts of parts giving out, do you understand the forces necessary to run 10.5 or 10.6 or 10.7? To ask, it's like going and finding a car that has a ton of miles on it, and yeah, you pretty it up and maybe it looks good, and now you ask it to go and do what it used to do in the beginning, and it falls apart. And it's like, yeah, when I said it wasn't with any malicious intent. Somebody asked me, is Elaine going to be a factor? It was last year, and I said no. I think Elaine is done as a threat. Well, of course, the headline is Boldon says Elaine is done. It's like, well, if that's how you want to put it, fine. But if you're asking me if I think Elaine is going to win another medal in her career individually, no, I don't. I'll eat that crow with pepper sauce if she comes back and does it, because I would want to see her in the same way I would want to see Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce run one more time. I would love to see Elaine come back and have a this is for Ato Boldon's prediction kind of year. I don't think it's happening.
Okay. One more question among the women in Jamaica has to do with the transition. Do you think the Claytons are ready for that transition from the Sharika and Shellyan and the Tina and Tia?
Ready for it. They've already done it. They've already done it.
Yeah.
Who's the national champion this year in Jamaica? Because it's not Sharika, it's not Shellyan, right? It's Tina. So no. Listen, those women are ahead of schedule. Because I remember when Frano had signed them, he said, I think he had said give me 3 or 4 years. Well, they're ahead of schedule. One made the Olympic final last year. That was Tia. And now Tina, as I predicted, roared back with a silver medal, which makes her the youngest in the history of the World Championships to win a 100-meter medal on the women's side. So, yeah, that transition is already over. The route to being Jamaican, the number one in Jamaica, is going to go through those two. So, yeah, it's almost like, and if they start to hit at the same time now, it's going to leave one spot. It's going to leave one spot on that team. It's like, who else is going with the Clayton twins to represent Jamaica in 2027 and in the Olympics in 2028? No, that transition is not. That transition ain't started, finished already.
Yeah. Question Ato Chenny asking, can Ato name 3 athletes within the Caribbean we should expect to shine in 2028?
I just gave you 2. Tina Clayton. If you make me pick another one, I think that this young woman from Jamaica that was in the she got last in the final, but she is
Price.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
She ran 48 mid in university, and yes, this is her first year. She made the final. I just feel like the quarter miler Price from Jamaica is going to be somebody. She's not gonna go away. She's not gonna go away. She's paying her dues, and sometimes you have to do that, especially in an event where, I mean, let's face it, she's coming into an event where in the recent past, 49 low was enough. Well, now if you don't run 48 low, you're not on the podium. Yeah. So she's coming into an event which has it's kind of on a hot streak. It's kind of on a hot streak right now.
Ato, I know we're getting ready to wrap up, but I away from the track and field, a little personal. How do you get Ato to attend to so many things outside of track and field? Because you talk about the NFL, for example, those players, training them, coaching them, whatever. And you still have your pilot license, right? So you still dabble in those things, right? How do you juggle your time? It seems as if you're very good at time management, you know.
Well, it helps to be a vampire. Sleep is not really a friend. I have come leaps and bounds in terms of averaging 4.5 hours sleep to now probably being in the 6s and some nights even low 7. I tend to be wired all day, but I am really into stuff that I love. I'm really into politics. I'm really into aviation. I'm really into track and field. So when I am doing those things, and coaching is obviously an offshoot from track and field. When I am doing those things, it doesn't feel like work. So I will have a client or I get a call and I have to go to the track and help a soccer player get fast, or help somebody with something specific that they're working on, help somebody with their start. And I look up and oops, it's been 3 or 4 hours. Okay, on to the next thing. So because it's a labor of love and it's things that I'm passionate about, it never really feels like work. My mother and I have a recurring joke about me winning the Powerball or the Mega Millions. And I go, I win the Mega Millions and I could watch Worlds or the Olympics from my yacht off the south, off the coast of France instead of being in Paris. She goes, oh, please shut up. You, Mr. I need perfection from a track and field broadcast. It's like you would do what you do, all the things you do for a living now you would do for free because you love being able to sit on a Sunday and watch your clients play. And 12 months ago they were in your class learning how to run the 40-yard dash properly. So the things that I do, I don't do any. If you see me doing something, it's not because somebody paying me. I have been blessed enough to live the kind of life where I do the things that people want me to help them succeed in. That to me, it doesn't feel like work.
Chenny posed the final question, which will probably steal another minute or two from Ato. Final question for Ato. What do you say to our Jaguar, aka that's Kirani James, and where do you think he should be focused beyond his active career?
Well, imagine I don't want to say horror, but imagine my shock when Kirani did not make the final in Tokyo. That for me was like, wow, like I was there. I remember being in Grenada. I remember being in Grenada in 2011 after he won the world title. And oh my gosh, every conversation with every Grenadian was Kirani and the world record. I remember thinking, he has won your first world title. He probably has a really good chance to win in London next year. But stop with the world record pressure. I was like, wow, I was there for that. And now, some 14 years later, here he is kind of, I don't know if it's the end, because quite frankly, Kirani was looking like he could have been a medalist this year. He was looking that good. But when Kirani's time comes, whether it is sooner or later, and I believe that's a very personal decision. I'm not one of those people who believe in, oh, so-and-so should retire. That's a very personal thing when you are done with your sport. I think Kirani is one of the most, I know he is, one of the most beloved people in our sport. I know he's a man of great principle, and I know he is somebody who a lot of people have admiration and respect for. I know people who could not point to Grenada on a map, but because of the sort of example and bright light that Kirani has been for so long for the Spice Island, they would follow anything with Grenada because of Kirani. I think Kirani needs to translate that into seeking some sort of high office in the IOC or in world athletics. Because I think he is the kind of person that a lot of people who might disagree on other things, they could agree on Kirani. And I, for one, would vote for Kirani for anything he wanted to do in a leadership role in our sport. There's just certain people like that. Valerie Adams was like that, where so many people loved her. But I knew that when she ran for sort of public office in our sport, that she would do well. I would encourage Kirani to go in that direction.
All right. Rudian, your final, thoughts, your final, whether
No, everything was good. Listen, there's nothing else you can take away from what Ato said. We just want to thank you for that opportunity and to give, the sports talk people, something to think about. And there are some government agents who's listening. Don't think they're not. They'll be in here. They don't want to say nothing, but they're listening. So hopefully something that you say could make a difference, could make a change. But thank you very much. There's nothing to add or to take away from what you said.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here. Michael?
In addition to that, we still have Ato down for we still have Ato down for Carifta Games 2026, Rudian. So
where are they going to be?
Based on what
Grenada
is saying.
In Grenada?
In Grenada.
Yeah.
If you send me a ticket and a stay at Spice Island Resort. I will put it in my calendar right now. I will put it in my calendar right now. What's the date?
Easter weekend. Easter
weekend. When is that?
The 4th, 6th, and 7th. The 4th, 6th, and 7th, I think, of April. That Easter weekend. But seriously, put it, Ato. Chenny will speak to the minister, and I know things will work out.
I will be glad to come to Carifta. Listen, I've already done a deal with World Athletics because World Under 20s is back in Eugene, Oregon. Yeah. And when I saw that, I said, I could go and stay by my play-by-play guy, Paul Swangard. I want to be at World Juniors. That's where my career started. I love watching our young kids compete against each other. So I have, and especially as somebody who I didn't run in Carifta myself, but I was able to guide Khalifa St. Paul to multiple Carifta wins. And then, of course, Brianna, who got like 6 Carifta goals and 2
Yeah.
2 MVPs. So I would love to come to Carifta. So you guys make it happen. Consider it payment for this whole hour they get on TalkSports.
Yeah, no problem. No, it was a nice I should say, just by Jenny. I saw a photo, I think. Just hold on. Someone asked me to ask Ato if he knows about this. Let me see if I can get it. And they asked me to ask him what's the question? Ask Ato if he remembers what year and games this was. Let me just put it up so Ato can see it. Yes, Ato, can you see?
Yes.
Someone sent me this, and they asked me ask Ato if he remembers what year and games this event.
The shoes indicate this, and the shoes on my hair indicate this is probably 03 or 04. This is the end of my career because I'm running in a red Adidas outfit.
So probably that could be your last relay running for Trinidad and Tobago. Was it in Grenada?
It looks so.
Event? Yeah,
it looks so. Y'all might have hosted CAC games or something.
CAC games.
Right. Back then, we used to actually prepare.
Yeah.
For going. Oh, by the way, we made the Olympic final. We made the Olympic final for the first time in that year. So it kind of ties back to what I was saying about how we used to prepare versus now.
Right.
This looks like it's the last year that I was running. So that would have been 2004.
2004. Right. That was actually in Grenada. He says, yeah, in Grenada. Because that's actually Ulrich School, yeah, and that's some other Grenadians in the back as officials, right? So that
you're in the middle. They must see a big woman now.
yes. All right, then. Thank you very much, Ato. It was a pleasure having you on the program, and as I said, we'll touch base on that invitation for Grenada come Easter 2026.
Let's make it happen.
Yes, I will. Thank you very much, Ato.
Okay, thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
okay, then, yeah, certainly. Rudian, we have to say thanks to Chet
yeah,
for that
certainly
idea. And I'll run it with Mr. Peters, Colin Peters, and the minister regarding having Ato, so he can work on the.
No, I think it'll be something good for a lot of even doing that imposer and doing a speech, and that will be really good for a lot of these sportsmen and sportswomen who will be there.
Well, and in addition to that, usually we have those sports ministers who will come to the Carifta Games.
And listen, and Grenada, and we know Grenada is a place a lot of people love to come. Certainly it's a place
sports ministers and the coordinator of sports and all of them come with their teams. So if they organize it, they normally come, but most of them will stay with the team and celebrate and things like that, not as officials per se, but just accompany them. I know, for example, the Bahamas, the Prime Minister, the Minister of Sports, and the coordinator of sports, they travel with the team, right?
Yeah, certainly.
So this is something we'll work on. Rudian, I want to thank you. It was a nice program. Certainly, it was a nice
program. Was, man. Thank you for always having me on. Yeah, it was good.
Okay, then.
Yeah. All right, have a good one.
Just one thing, we may not have a program next week.
Next week?
Yeah, I
know. Traveling,
yeah.
Okay.
So
we'll keep you posted. Keep me posted. We'll talk. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
All right. It's always good.
Yeah. So, folks, once again, thank you very much for being part of our program. It's always a pleasure being with you. Looking forward to your company in the next program. It may be in the next 2 weeks or so, but we'll keep in touch. Until then, do have yourself a pleasant weekend.